commitment to you is that you will all have a family doctor in 4 years. I will cut your taxes and I'll take the HST off your home heating and hydro, and we will build affordable housing again.
I am going to be a premier on your side. I am going to fight the rising cost of everything. I'm going to hire doctors. I'm going to make sure that our highways are safe.
We need a strong mandate to outlive and outlast Donald Trump's administration, and I'll make sure I protect the families, protect businesses.
We can invest in our communities, our people, lower your taxes, build homes, fix healthcare, fix education, and protect the places we love.
Over the next 10 days, leaders of Ontario provincial parties will hope to sway or solidify votes. So far, the campaign has been dominated by Canada-U.S. relations, and much to the delight of Progressive Conservative leader Doug Ford. He did call this election more than a year early, saying he needed a strong mandate to stand up for Ontario in the face of tariff threats. According to the latest polling numbers from Nanos Research, his gamble is paying off. Earlier today, I spoke with Nick Nanos about his latest polling just ahead of the February 27th vote. Hi, Nick. Welcome back to Power Play. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you.
Let's start in Ontario, where Doug Ford continues to hold this really healthy lead. It even went up slightly. So tell me, what's behind that, especially that little growth that you're seeing?
Well, you know, what's clear is that Donald Trump being in the news is probably good news for Doug Ford, because he is the premier. He's working with his other colleagues, the premiers from other provinces. He's working with the prime minister and responding to U.S. President Donald Trump on the tariff threat, and he's looking very proactive. And it basically sucks all the oxygen out of the campaign for both Crombie and Stiles, the Liberal and the New Democrat leaders, respectively. And, you know, as a result, he's got a massive advantage. It's like 46-27 in the CTV Nanos tracking. It's like 19 percentage points. So he's got to really mess up in the debate for him to lose the election. But you know what? Debates count, and expect Crombie, Stiles, and Schreiner to come out swinging, probably focusing on those issues that voters have told us are important, like healthcare and jobs and stuff like that. So, because if this debate tonight is about Trump, it's probably going to be another good night for Doug Ford. If it's about healthcare, jobs, and other stuff, then it'll be a little more of a level playing field between Ford and all of the other provincial party leaders.
How much do you think they can flip the script tonight? Because we know that debates are typically when voters start to really pay attention, even though this has been top of mind for a lot of people. What kind of an opportunity do you think that each one of those those opposition leaders has, to try and punch through tonight?
I think there are a number of opportunities on a lot of specific issues. You know, for the opposition leaders or the other party leaders, other than Doug Ford, they're probably going to want to talk about things like the Greenbelt. They're going to probably want to talk about healthcare. They're going to talk about probably the transfer to convenience stores of the sale of liquor, beer, all that kind of stuff. So that, and the cost related to that. So there are opportunities for, you know, the Liberals and New Democrats and the Greens to take swipes at Doug Ford. Expect him to pivot back to Trump and tariffs as much as he can. But, you know, there's only 10 days left in this campaign. If they can't change the trend line in the next 4 days, it's going to be difficult, because what will happen is Doug Ford will just look to cruise to the close of the campaign and kind of work off of the advantage that he has. And, you know, let's face it, say he has a couple of bad days and his advantage is only 15 points, 12 points, 10 points. It's still going to be a win unless something dramatic happens tonight or in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in your numbers, I was digging into them on preferred premier, you know, Crombie from the Liberals and NDP leader Marit Stiles. They've actually dropped in the last 10 days. Why do you think that they haven't been able to really sort of show Ontarians that they could be the premier? And do you think that the fact that because Doug Ford has really been acting as premier going to D.C., do you think that has really played a lot into this?
Yeah, it's been a significant advantage for for Doug Ford. You know, the good news for Crombie, Stiles, and Schreiner is that tonight they'll get equal play time, and they'll have their opportunities. Ford will not be able to kind of dominate, at least from a time perspective, the leaders' debate tonight. and he's going to have to share this stage with all of the provincial party leaders. So this is really the time for anyone that wants to challenge Doug Ford to try to break out from the pack. But, you know, the thing is that the party that's the best positioned right now are the Liberals, right? Because we have the New Democrats at around 20% provincially, the Liberals at around 27%. But, you know, we shouldn't discount if voters switch from the Progressive Conservatives to the Liberals, that 19-point advantage can quickly change. We saw that federally, right? Because, you know, at one point, Pierre Poilievre and the federal Conservatives had a 27-point advantage. Well, fast forward, and, you know, that 27-point advantage actually changed very quickly. So don't underestimate. I think the person to watch in the debate tonight is Bonnie Crombie, and the only reason why, or the main reason, is because if she can land a hit or a shot on Doug Ford to shake loose voters, she will probably be the main beneficiary, and that 19-point gap could change. But, you know, so far it's been like Teflon Doug Ford throughout this campaign, with him focused on Donald Trump and the Americans.
I want to switch to the federal Liberal leadership race. Today is one of those fundraising deadlines. We have 5 candidates in the race right now. Do you think the field is that wide open, or is it really more of a 2 to 3 person race?
Well, I think if you're asking Pierre Poilievre and the federal Conservatives, there's only one candidate that they're worried about. His name's Mark Carney. You know, they're not spending their time on Chrystia Freeland. They're not spending their time on Karina Folt, Ruby Dahlin. You know, they're not spending their time on anyone but Mark Carney. You know, the Conservatives, for all intents and purposes, have told Canadians Mark Carney is the one to beat. Mark Carney is the one to watch. So, you know, the thing is that that Conservative attack does not necessarily convert into delegates and votes in an actual leadership campaign, but it's probably indicative of the strength of the Carney campaign right now and the threat that it might pose for the Poilievre Conservatives. You
were talking in the Ontario election how important it is to try and still sway people. How important is that in terms of next week's debate for the federal Liberal leadership candidates? They've got both English and French. Do you think that people are going to want to see policy discussions or somebody who's ready to win an election?
Actually, I think they're going to want to hear from all of the candidates the same thing that they want to hear from Pierre Poilievre. What is your strategy on Donald Trump and the Americans? You know, why should you be trusted to lead the negotiations? That's what Canadians want to hear from all politicians. So, you know, for Pierre Poilievre or for any of the contenders for the Liberal leadership, that's got to be at the very top of the list, because, you know, in our national polling, when we ask Canadians what the top unprompted issue of concern is, Trump was nowhere 4 weeks ago and has gone from basically 1% to about 10% just in the last number of weeks. And it's the second most important thing that Canadians are worried about right now.
Yeah, top of mind for so many people. All right, Nick, we're going to leave it there. Nick Nanos, founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Thanks so much for joining us.
Okay, bye-bye.